With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.
You've discovered your link to GoPowercat.com's Powercat Podcast. Now, here's your host, GoPowercat.com publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Go back to December 2018. If you're a K-State fan and follow things closely, you knew that Chris Kleiman had been hired and was on his way to become Kansas State's new coach. The press conference is pending. The jet had gone to Fargo to retrieve Chris Kleiman and bring him back to Manhattan to sign a contract, to have a press conference, and all that. And a crew from K-State, mostly social media people, went on that plane and were there with him, and it turned out to be incredible social media. I mean, they had photos and video of him on the plane as they flew over Bill Snyder Family Stadium, all lit up. It was really cool. But there's a dude on the flight, and everyone went, who is that guy? Little did we know that was Hank Jacobs. And little did we know that Hank Jacobs is, forgive me for this, the hand to the king, the right-hand man. That's a Game of Thrones reference. Okay, I like the Game of Thrones. But he should have the little hand, that little badge they would wear, because to get to Chris Kleiman, you probably have to go through Hank Jacobs. He is the gatekeeper. He's organizational. He goes to a lot of meetings. He basically represents Kansas State football when Kansas State football needs to be somewhere, like in a campus meeting about branding. All of those things. That's Hank Jacobs' job. His title is Director of Football Administration. It's the first time K-State's had that title in its athletic department. And Hank Jacobs is kind of cutting a path on how to handle this. In the past, this was something maybe that Sean Snyder did for his father, while Sean carried the title of Director of Football Operations or Senior Associate AD for Football Operations, and then someone else actually did the football operations. So they've kind of parsed out the titles now. And Hank's office, little area, is right outside of Chris Kleiman's office. He literally is a gatekeeper. Welcome to the Powercat Sources Podcast, the podcast in which we talk to the people that we at GoPowercat.com consider our sources. But this fall, we're using this Sources Podcast to talk to all of the coaches and many of the administrators connected to the Kansas State football program. We've done a bunch of the coaches. In fact, we're running out of coaches. And during the off week, we picked off an administrator, Hank Jacobs. And Hank has been with Chris Kleiman for a while. He was an offensive lineman on the North Dakota State football team from 2009 to 2011. Now you remember Hank, the big guy on the plane. Jacobs came to K-State following a 10-year run at North Dakota State, in which he was part of 7 national championship teams. He was originally hired in a full-time capacity in August 2015 as Director of Football Recruiting for North Dakota State before being elevated to Director of Football Operations in 2016. In his previous position, Jacobs coordinated the day-to-day operations for the football staff, including team travel, campus visits, and other recruiting activities. He is a native of Wisconsin, ended up in North Dakota to play football, found his passion for football, not just coaching, but serving as an administrator for a football program, overseeing all the things that go into a football program off the field. And now he's here in Manhattan, and he really does play an enormous role in what's going on with K-State football because he's highly organized. His hand is still in recruiting. His hands are in a little bit of everything as it relates to Kansas State football. And right now in this COVID-19 world, Hank Jacobs is really tied into that quite a bit. He's overseeing a lot of things. Mostly, though, Hank Jacobs sets a tone for the program. He represents the program. And he takes his marching orders from Chris Kleiman, and the two are intertwined. Chris Kleiman might be at Kansas State for a long, long time, or maybe, as you know, football coaches move on. Maybe he moves on, and I would imagine Hank Jacobs will go with him. We will see, But during the off week last week, we took some time to talk to Hank. It was a perfect time when it was downshifted just a hair, and Hank could spare a half hour, 45 minutes, so that myself and Ryan Wallace from the GoPowercat staff could team up to talk to Hank Jacobs, Director of Football Administration for the Kansas State Wildcats. And now we bring in our guest, Hank Jacobs, along with Ryan Wallace from the GoPowercat staff. Hank, I was just noticing you're down 100 pounds. I mean, that's getting stuff done during a pandemic.
Yeah, it is. The pandemic has threw some wrenches at my life, but try to focus on getting my personal life in order. I got engaged in May, and then over the summer, I just started working out and eating better, and here I am. So I'm excited about that, but more excited that we're actually playing football right now. So, well,
congratulations on the engagement. Someone from in Fargo, I assume?
No, I met a Kansas girl when I got down here.
Really? Well, good for you.
From Ellsworth.
Central Kansas. Can't beat it.
Yeah. Well, she lives in Manhattan, obviously.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. That's awesome. Does she know she's engaged?
I think so.
Okay, good. I want to make sure it was just not to you. So what is how has the pandemic changed what you do on a day-to-day basis as the Director of Football Administration for Kansas State? Anything?
Yeah, I think it's changed a lot. Number one, I mean, probably the biggest thing is just recruiting. I mean, we'd have kids here every day if we could, or high school prospects, and now they can't even show up on campus. Obviously, a lot of that has gone virtual, but it's changed so much from a recruiting standpoint. As far as operational, I mean, we get a different curveball, feels like, every day. And so a lot of my time is spent on that, and trying to come up with a solution for everything. And just doing the best we can with pretty much zero experience on how to handle a football team through a pandemic. And we just try to make the best decisions possible. And then I still go through my daily checklist as far as emails and recruiting and looking at lists and staying up on the injury report, all that stuff. And just communicating with Coach Kleiman all the time, and, with the coaching staff and recruiting staff, kind of being that link between the support staff and the coaching staff. So, I mean, it's changed a lot, though. And if you don't have to be around the players, our philosophy here is during the pandemic, you're going to be around the players. So that's kind of changed a lot too, because I used to, go to practice. I still go to practice, but I just have to kind of be away from everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you had another rash of cases. I'm guessing the guys that didn't go to West Virginia had a good time back in Manhattan. Is that where most of these cases came from?
I don't know. I don't get that information from our medical staff, but who knows? I mean, they could have got it from their family. They could have got it from another teammate. We don't know.
Yeah. It's all over Manhattan right now.
Yeah.
I know the track team got hit.
All over the country.
Yeah. So I hate to say it this way, it's almost impossible to keep everyone away, because sometimes you don't even know where they got it from.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Does Hank Jacobs think we'll get this season finished unscathed without a postponement at Kansas State?
I'm not sure. Just every day we're waiting on test results and waiting to see. I believe our kids have done a really good job staying away from things and doing a great job with that. So, I mean, I hope we don't have a postponement, but the world of college football, you never know this year.
Yeah, the SEC's getting torn up this week. Just their schedule's getting shredded. I'm just amazed that you've gotten 7 games into the schedule without.
Yeah, it is amazing. I was talking to Casey last week. We were just talking about Casey Harper, our Director of Football Ops, just talking about everything we've been through in the past 14 weeks. And, the fact that we played 7 games is pretty remarkable.
Like walking through a minefield and not stepping in it so far.
Yeah.
Hank, you wear so many different hats, but, what would you say is the most challenging aspect of your job? And as you were talking about already with all the circumstances that this season has brought, does that biggest challenge for your job, has it become even more difficult this year?
making sure everyone is on the same page and moving in the same direction is probably the most difficult part of my job, and having the correct communication between people. And yeah, it does make it more challenging because you can't have a lot of those conversations in person. A lot of them are through phone call or through text. And just making sure people are reading texts and reading emails and following up. And that does make it a little bit more challenging.
You mentioned recruiting, obviously, as one of the, like I said, many hats that you wear. Describe for the listeners, I guess, kind of your role in regards to that department.
There's a lot. I mean, in regards to that department, there's a lot of stuff. I just overseeing the whole thing. I don't know. I check a lot of lists every morning. I have a daily duty to do that. I can make sure our database is up to date and kind of making sure everything is aligned and we have all the correct information in there. And then I'm constantly communicating with Taylor about kids and all that. There's so many different things. I don't think there's one duty that I have in specifics that in recruiting, but Taylor's a really good as far as just talking to kids. I think I do a pretty good job of digging kids up and finding kids along with Chuck Lilly.
How has that changed? And we talked to Chuck about this as well, but I wanted to get your perspective on it as well. How have things changed? The fact that, like you said, digging up kids, do you find yourself kind of scouring the interwebs to find guys, or do you have enough connections where guys are kind of brought to you in some shape or form?
It's probably a combo. I get hit up by a lot of coaches from the upper Midwest just because of the relationships I fostered and created in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota. And then I do go through lists every day through our different recruiting services that we have. And I take pride in finding kids and digging kids up and getting to know information on them. But yeah, it's a combination of both, I would say. And you got to have trust in those people as well. And I'm getting, over time, I'm getting to know more Kansas coaches and Missouri coaches. The people that I know the most are from Minnesota and North Dakota.
Go through what a virtual tour is like for you. How you put it together, what it feels like for the recruit.
Yeah, so Kelly and Taylor and Chuck kind of put those together. But, I mean, it's all about just meeting different people in our department that are going to have an impact on their life when they're here, whether it's from Scott Trausch and nutrition, Coach Dawson in the weight room, their position coach, Coach Kleiman. We try to get them looped in with as many people as possible, Coach Hall, development. And they just kind of meet with those people. We're showing them facilities as we walk and we talk, and getting them around the correct people. And that's kind of the best we can do right now. I know Taylor has taken kids around in his Jeep through campus and everything, and through Manhattan. And that's the best we can do right now. And we're just trying to make those visits as great as possible for the young men that are taking the virtual visits. And I couldn't imagine making a college football decision. I give them a lot of credit based off a virtual visit. And there's a lot of kids that have gotten in a car or on a flight and come to Manhattan for a game, but they're just not getting that personal touch from our coaching staff that we wish we could give them. And
the dead period's been extended even farther down the road now?
I think there's some confusion on that. I think they're voting on it next Wednesday. Mm-hmm. It hasn't technically gone through. And I think that's a football and a basketball decision from what I understand.
You're right. I can't imagine trying to decide a university choice, let alone a football choice, which is a whole nother level of information you need to call. Yeah. I just can't imagine doing it.
And not unfortunately, one of our biggest sells is game day here. I mean, the atmosphere here is something you can't replicate through a phone call. And we do the best we can with that. Just want to get these kids back on campus as soon as possible. If the NCAA says that's April 15th, it's April 15th. And we're not going to try to skirt the rules or anything. But we just got to do the best we can with the virtual visits and be creative as possible with those.
It's crazy. Game day, is it much different for you guys other than the fact that not having a crowd, or is there another layer of stuff we don't see that is going to take place?
I mean, as far as affecting the game, the crowd noise would be helpful, especially on third down and everything. And our marketing people and our stadium operations people do a great job of putting in the crowd noise to the level that the Big 12 deems acceptable. But I mean, you can tell. I mean, when you're running out, it's not the big crowd that you're used to or want to have, and it's not as loud on third down and all those things. But yeah, that's probably the biggest difference from a game operation standpoint is just the noise and on the road too. I mean, we prepare for a little bit of noise, but not a ton.
Yeah. That's just
Speaking of games, you don't have one this week.
Yeah.
For you, is a bye week or an off week? Is it better for you? Is it more busy? Do you find yourself having to do more on a bye week?
It's about the same. We just don't have the Saturday or the Sunday, but we work every day. So I think we come in an hour later than usual.
That's nice.
Yeah.
How about something else that I know Fitz and I have struggled with, me in particular, because I'm Fitz can attest to this, probably one of the worst human beings at math you can find, at least in this state.
You're not Taylor Bratt.
How do you even attempt at this point to handle scholarship and participation like numbers? Like, I guess, how do you move forward knowing that some guys can come back? I mean, from an eligibility standpoint, It seems like it could be a real headache.
Well, I think we have to rely a lot on our compliance, who keeps us in line with scholarships, and just plan the best we can and count the best we can. I mean, at the end of the day, it still is simple math, but it comes down to a lot of people's decisions. And it is difficult to plan for, but we're moving forward. And I mean, we just do the best we can, I guess.
Does it make you gun shy on how many to take in 21?
Yeah, football rosters change all the time, so I don't think there's shy or not gun shy. So,
and now with these are approving a lot of transfers, and they want to give a free transfer at some point. Mm-hmm. I guess there's going to be a lot of fluid movement, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, we get paid to make decisions and get stuff right, and we got to put ourselves in the best position from a roster management standpoint and just be organized with it and make sure we're all on the same page and moving in the same direction. And the coaches need to be too, because they got to know what they're looking for and where they have needs at and wants at.
I know you're not done with the 2021 class. You probably maybe very close, but at the same time, just from an overarching perspective, is there something that when this class is done and signed that you're going to look back on and say, wow, I'm really proud of how the staff, how we as a program handled this class? I mean, is it as simple as, wow, we made it through the year with COVID, or is there something deeper that you're really proud of about how you guys handled it?
I mean, we're all dealing with COVID, so I don't know if there should be, it's not like it's a free year. We still have to win at a high level and do things at a high level and operate within the parameters that are set forth by our administration and everyone involved at K-State and the NCAA. But, I mean, it's funny, Coach Malone, he said, if you survive coaching through COVID, you should get a patch on game day that says I coached in COVID. So, yeah, I mean, we'll take pride in it. And you can always harp on, go back to this year. And if you're having a not so great year, you can go back to this year and be like, God, I can't believe we made it through that one. If we can make it through that one, we can make it through anyone. So.
Very true.
And we do. I mean, it's nice to have we have, we have less issues, I think, than most other places. So, I mean, our kids have done a great job through this whole process with COVID. I mean, they're following the social distancing rules, wearing masks, staying away from each other off the field, all that stuff. They do a great job. And our athletic training staff as well has done an unbelievable job.
Well, that's so funny because staying away from each other off the field is not what you usually want. I mean, usually you want that cohesion built in even social situations. And now you're like, just stay the hell away from everyone. It's so weird. This is just
it's
all
sad.
of it's weird.
I mean,
yeah.
College football is about loving your teammates and being around them as much as possible and getting to know people from different backgrounds. And it's hard to do now. Yeah. And I can't wait for it to hopefully one day go back to what it was.
What is the testing process? Do the kids all have to go over to Lafine or?
Some happen in-house and some happen over at Lafine.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's changed. I mean, it doesn't change, but it's different.
And I mean, are they still doing the nasal stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
yeah,
how fun are those? Do you enjoy that?
Back. It's just kind of like halfway up the nose.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, do you have to do those regularly as well?
Yeah, coaches and staff are once a week.
And so you've kind of become used to it now?
I mean, it's part of the job. Part of the process. If you want to be part of college football this year, you got to get tested every week. And I'm thankful because our administration and people in the Big 12 and the NCAA, it's not like it's free to get tested. So I know if I have COVID or coronavirus, I get tested. So I'm pretty grateful for that.
Let's take a little pause right now on the Powercat Sources podcast. Ryan Wallace and myself will be back with Hank Jacobs, Director of Football Administration for the Kansas State Wildcats.
The Powercat podcast will be right back.
JamesAllen.com is the online destination to easily design a customized engagement ring and save up to 50% compared to traditional stores. You pick a diamond, whether it's lab-created or earth-created, James Allen has over 200,000 conflict-free stones. Then you pick your ring setting and metal. And if you need some help, they have real-time diamond consultations available, where an expert can walk you through it all. Get 25% off your order at JamesAllen.com, code podcast. That's JamesAllen.com, code podcast.
Getting the crew together isn't as easy as it used to be. We get it. Life comes at you fast. But trust us, your pals are desperate for a good hang. And when they hear you stock the party with drinks from Drizzly, they'll be banging down your door. Let Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery, take care of the supplies. All you need is an excuse. It doesn't even have to be a good one. It's your dog's birthday. The loquats are finally ripe. Whatever. With Drizzly, you can compare prices on a massive selection of beer, wine, and spirits and get them delivered straight to your door. Which means you can entice the crew to leave their houses without ever leaving yours. Whatever the occasion, download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com today. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations.
We now send it back to the Powercat podcast.
I want to go through some of these coaches. What's Van Malone like around the office?
I don't know. To compare him to someone, I don't think I could. He's a different person than most. He's energetic, though. He is. You hear a lot of those. I mean, he has a lot of one-liners or stories to tell when he's speaking to the media, and he's probably the same way in person. He harps back on a lot of stories and a lot of just fun to be around and funny and yeah.
Is Joe Klanderman all business?
No. No. I don't know why he comes off like that.
He does.
Yeah. He's a really fun dude to be around. Joke telling, same type of thing. I mean, he's got stories for days.
Okay. I was able to get Coach Tui to talk for 30 plus minutes on one of these. Was that a minor miracle?
No, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say he's a quiet. I mean, he's a little bit reserved, I guess, but he's not a quiet person or quiet dude. I mean, no, I wouldn't say that. Okay. He's a really person. He's easily approachable, all that stuff.
Have you ever golfed with Courtney Messingham?
I'm not a big golfer, so I have not. I was over there for Christmas last year, and they went out golfing because they went out golfing on Christmas, which was odd to me because I'm from a more northern environment, and that was my first Christmas where it was above, I think, 65 degrees. But
that's weird.
I've seen him golf, and he's pretty good. He's got that old man mid-range game. Doesn't hit it very far, but he's accurate.
Okay.
Did it surprise you at all, Hank? Like, I mean, I don't think it would surprise me necessarily, and not to say that I know you guys, but like I said, it seems like this is just a really open, easy to like staff. But I mean, the transition, was it as seamless as you thought it would be with, kind of half the North Dakota State guys coming in? You guys all know each other like the back of your hand.
Yep.
And then a couple of these new guys, and then you just click like that.
I mean, I think we're all pretty approachable people. I mean, we're all really good family men, men of faith. We're good. They're good husbands, good people. I think that's kind of why we all get along, is because we're just all really genuine, kind, good people. And that's something you can't really negotiate on in the hiring process of a coach. And that's kind of, I think, why we all get along. We're all keep our office doors open and come in and talk whenever you want. And it's the same way with our players.
Is that that seems like it would be high on the kind of checklist for interviews? I mean, when you interviewed Chuck, for instance, I mean, is the ability to gel with the staff, is that as high as almost anything else you're looking for?
Yeah. And you also got to be, have evidence so that you can actually do the job and can be thrive in the profession and do all those things. But yeah, one of the things is take them out to dinner, and do you have a good time with them or not? That's a question I ask myself. And if you do, then they're probably a fit. If you don't, then they're probably not a fit. And obviously they can't be bad people, but and then we rely a lot on, background information from the people that they've worked with and people that we trust.
Here's something else that Fitz, you kind of sprung this to my attention when we were going through the Rolodex of coaches here. Maybe it's coaches, maybe it's players, Hank. I want to know, who is in charge of the music at practice?
The equipment staff, it's coming from their phone, and we kind of have a different day. We play Monday, we play mostly hip hop and rap. Tuesday is classic rock. Wednesday is country. And then Thursday is supposed to be throwback, but we don't play a whole lot of music on Thursday because it's supposed to be like a kind of a more locked in focus type of day. So we're only playing it for like 3 periods a day.
Who seems to always want to play DJ? I mean, whether it's a player or a coach, is there somebody that's always...
Justin Hughes is always asking me to switch. And then other than that, he's really the only one lately. Last year it was Tyler Mitchell asked me to change music a bunch. Yeah, other than that, Hayden Gilman, he likes to ask me about music. They all think they have the greatest music taste ever, but
which isn't possible because I do. So I'm taking it Tyler Mitchell wanted to switch to country all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like that.
I mean, he was excited on Wednesday whenever we played it. I mean, got to adhere to everyone's background and cultures, and I like all different types of music, so it doesn't bother me.
Justin Hughes, I bet you he likes some classic rock. I bet you he sneaks some classic rock in and may not admit it, but he's kind of a worldly young man.
Maybe. I hope he leaves here and he likes different types of music. And
what about this, Hank? And Fitz, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is usually one of the more hot topics on our message board, at least once, twice, 3, 5 times a year. Hank, have you been involved yet? I say yet. Maybe this year was a bad year for it, but in any of the uniform meetings? And is there anything you can pass on about traction on that front?
Yeah, I'm directly involved in the uniform meetings. We have a branding committee at Kansas State, and we meet every other week, I would say, and we talk about everything that is involved with our brand. This year, just I don't know. We'll see. I think we meet again next Wednesday. So
he's keeping the door open, Fitz.
I know. I know.
We'll see.
We might have like an outline of skinny Hank Jacobs on the side of the helmet by the end of the year.
No, it's not about me. It's about the Powercat.
Okay. How protective is K-State of the quote brand? And did you get any pushback with the switching of some stuff last year?
There's some, people, you're never 100% like this, like that, don't like this, don't like that. So there are some upset fans about why are we wearing a white helmet? Why did we take the Powercat off the helmet? But it's really, when it comes down to it, it's a recruiting decision as far as switching a jersey up. And the Powercat itself is a powerful symbol. And we wanted to still incorporate that in some way. I think we put it on the bumper of the helmet when we wore cats. And we still want to wear that and have that as our badge, because it does mean something. It means more than just, hey, that's the symbol for K-State. For former players and people who have graduated from K-State, it may mean something to them. Integrity, character, everything that goes into being a Wildcat is in that symbol. And that, it's powerful. So we want to put it on as many things as we can. Now, is there time for a curveball and a switch up every once in a while? Yes. How many times you do that a year? I don't know what the correct number is. But we still want to make sure the Powercat is on the forefront of everything.
Every time you switch up, is it possible to win in a switch up? Because it hasn't happened yet. It's an amazing thing. I had someone ask me, why don't they wear alternatives for KU? That seems like a safe way to break this jinx if there is one.
It's all the kids playing well and working Monday through Friday. It has nothing to do with what they're wearing.
Well, I know that, but tell that to fans.
Although, I don't mean to harp back on North Dakota State all the time, but our alternates we didn't lose in. So
that's better. That's better than losing.
Hank, you mentioned recruiting, so I wanted to use it as a segue to slide one more recruiting question at you.
Sure.
With the 2022 class, and obviously we know you can't touch on any names specifically, but would you say that this is the first group that you guys have finally kind of had a full shot at establishing a relationship with before the cycle, quote, officially starts? Because 2019, you're scrambling to kind of pick up pieces. 2020, you're kind of still meeting, kids and getting used to Kansas, and maybe even for 2021 too. Maybe this, I don't know if fans really understand the appreciation that goes into what you guys have done behind the scenes with this 2022 class coming up.
Yeah. And I think more than anything, it's finding out about the roster that we inherited. And it was a great roster. Coach Snyder did a great job here with the players and the recruits that he had. But it's about figuring out that roster so you know what to go after and what you're looking for in the players that you're recruiting in the future. And it was our first full swing at a cycle, 2022 is. And, you figure out what you want in a player at Kansas State more than anything, and identifying those things and making sure you're correct.
Knowing your roster, can you tell us, are there any positions that you're still looking at for 2021 before we get to 2022? We're just always trying to improve as far as a position. No, just looking for the best players out there.
Okay. Another staff
and
question.
Kids that want to be at K-State.
Sure.
Another staff question. How much is working with Taylor Bratt and how much is like kind of babysitting Taylor and keeping him out of trouble? Because Taylor hears his own drum beat. I think that's easy to say. You know what?
I really enjoy working with Taylor. He's always upbeat.
Yeah, he is.
He's always fun. And I know he calls himself Sped, but he is so much more than that and so much more talented than that. And I think he's just being humble because he's really good at his job. He can communicate with anybody. He can sell to anybody, and it's genuine. And he loves K-State, and he'll do anything for this university. And he keeps he's organized. He's on top of everything. He's very forward thinking. He's more than just a loudmouth. he's good at his job. He's pretty talented. And I enjoy working with him, and the kids trust him. He has more relationships with the people on this team than I would say anybody else.
How cool was it when he got the sledgehammer in the locker room after the KU?
That was pretty awesome. Yeah.
He did. He looked like a kid at Christmas. He was just so happy. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
He could get one of those every game, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
How about a little bit on Hank Jacobs and Fitz? I did some background research here, so I think this could be fun here. Okay. Does the name Fred Phillips mean anything to you?
Fred Phillips.
Okay. That's the like birth name. What about Ric Flair? Because Ric Flair, Fitz,
went to Wayland Academy in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, home of Hank Jacobs. Yes. Yeah. I think Flair's really from Chicago.
Does he ever? Have you ever seen it? I mean, there's still family connections in Beaver Dam.
I don't think so. I think Wayland's a private academy in Beaver Dam. Actually, I lived, I wouldn't say a block away from Wayland growing up. I went to Beaver Dam High School, so I didn't go to the private school. But yeah, I don't. It's kind of an odd fact that Flair went to high school at Wayland Academy.
How about this about Beaver Dam, Wisconsin? If Fitz and I were to go up there, okay, would we have more fun? I mean, what would you recommend from a tourist perspective? The Midwest Cream Cheese competition or the Taste of Wisconsin event?
The Taste of Wisconsin event.
The Taste of Wisconsin sounds great. There's cheeses you can taste and craft beers, correct?
Correct. Yep.
That's awesome.
Middle of downtown Beaver Dam.
Tremendous.
Yeah. Yep. And then as far as other tourist attractions, the lake is nice. Actually, Beaver Dam is. Have you guys ever been ice fishing?
No. Love to.
Okay.
No.
The tip ups that are made. Do you guys know what a tip up is?
Nope.
Okay, it's a flag that's connected to like a board that you put over your ice fishing hole, and it's connected to a string where if you get a bite, the flag goes up. And you know that you have a bite, so you go take your fish out of the hole, and then you got something to eat later on. Maybe you mount it, and it's those are made in Beaver Dam. Or one of the best ones out there is made in Beaver Dam. So that's kind of the fact about Beaver Dam.
You know, I don't want to do anything that involves walking on a frozen lake. I'm a 300-plus pound man, and I don't trust that much.
Yeah, it's not as scary as you think. I mean, that ice is 20 thick, if not more.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, pickups go on, so.
Well, if there's a pickup out there, I'll know that it'll go first.
Yeah.
I take it you've enjoyed your time in Manhattan, Kansas.
Yeah, love it here. Number one, obviously, I met my future wife here, so I'll always love it here. And her family is from here. And then just the people in the community. I mean, they support K-State, and they do it in the way. And, yeah, everything about this place is special to me. And it was my first Power 5 job, so.
How fortunate do you feel? You're a young guy, and you're sitting at the right hand of the King Kleiman.
The King, yeah.
It's a pretty cool job to have for a guy your age.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm pretty blessed. I probably put in the right situation at the right time, and it's been a blast so far. And we've won a lot. We've been through challenges together, and we've overcome a lot of challenges together. Along the way, we've coached some incredible young men and been a part of their lives, and hopefully we do it for another however many long years.
For fans who don't know him, haven't met him, have only seen him at press conference or on the sideline, what is Chris Kleiman like as a person?
I just said really genuine.
Yeah.
Cares about everyone, cares about making an impact in people's lives, and wants to be there for as many people as possible.
Wally, you got anything else?
I guess the only other thing I was going to ask, and Fitz kind of touched on it here, the question before, the one about Coach Kleiman, and is that Do you feel stress? I mean, like Fitz said, I mean, technically you're young in the profession, you know what I mean? So, I mean, do you feel anxiety and like being overwhelmed? It seems like, you, like I said, you wear so many different hats.
Yeah.
Is that something that has come with the job, or are you naturally pretty, got good artillery to a lot of that stuff where you don't let it?
I would say I have a lot of really great people in my life, including Coach Kleiman, that I can lean on if I put myself in a stressful situation. But there are a lot more stressful things than coaching college football. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic, number one. So working in the hospital first and foremost, and being on the front lines with that, being a soldier. And there's more adversity that I'll face outside of football. That's really stressful, being a police officer, being making a difference between life and death. That's stressful work. Coaching college football is not stressful work. Now, can I get let go or fired or whatever more easily? I don't know, but I just think of all those people and what they do for us. And to me, that's more stressful. So being a teacher is probably more stressful. All that stuff. I mean, we go out on Saturday and play a game and coach a game. It's not life and death. So,
Hank, I appreciate it, man. I know you got other stuff to do.
Yeah,
not eating. That's not on your schedule, apparently. Okay, man. Well, when we get on the other side of this, the three of us are going to have a beer.
Absolutely.
We might invite Taylor.
I need a Wisconsin craft beer that I need.
I mean, obviously Spotted Cow is
Spotted Cow.
Yep.
Yeah. There's Lion Kugels in this area. River West. I mean, there's a bunch of different ones up in Milwaukee and in Wisconsin. If you ever get a chance, go to La Crosse. They got kind of a cool craft beer scene. Yeah.
I was up at Oshkosh not that long ago.
Yeah, it's near me.
Yeah, doing stuff for Garmin, and
Gotcha.
Cool area. I think Wisconsin's really pretty.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, Minnesota, all that. That's kind of a part of the country I'd like to visit, Fitz.
Depends what time of year, but yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I imagine the snow's pretty unless you can't get out of it. And I don't want to live north of here.
The snow sucks there, but the ice here is more prevalent than it is in the upper Midwest. And ice is worse than snow, in my opinion. But maybe that's because I'm not used to it.
No, I agree.
100%.
I mean, that's the thing with Kansas is it'll be freezing cold, and then the next day it'll be 45 and start to melt stuff, and then drop down, and you get a sheet ice. Welcome to Kansas in the winter.
Right, yeah. But at least it melts, and you don't have snow on the ground 4 months out of the year, 5 months out of the year.
I agree. Well, I'm really ready to win the Powerball and be wealthy and have a summer home and a winter home, a Vegas home, a beach home. I don't know how many homes.
We all want that.
Yeah.
I meant to ask you, Hank, have you ever been to a game like at Lambeau, or is it really that hard to get tickets? You know what I mean?
My brother-in-law has tickets. So the last time I was home actually for winter between Christmas and New Year's. We went to a football game. I think it was 2018 or 2017 maybe. It was one, I don't know. Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing, so it kind of sucked. But we used to go to one every year. Just know people in the area that have tickets. And my dad was a bank president, CEO, so he had enough connections where we could get tickets from whether it be farmers or business owners or whoever. But yeah, it is hard to get on the season ticket list.
Yeah.
I'm a partial owner. I own one stock. I think it cost me $100, but I did it just to hang the picture on my wall.
Okay, so Ryan Wallace and I teamed up on some serious investigative reporting after this episode was done and recorded. And what I mean by serious investigative reporting is we stalked Hank Jacobs on social media. Yeah, well, that's what journalism has kind of become. Anyhow, it turns out I went into this interview because I've been disconnected from a lot of stuff over the last 9 months where I'm kind of locked down. I hardly ever leave the house. And, sometimes I check social media, Facebook, etc. Sometimes I don't. It turns out not only is Hank Jacobs marrying a Kansas girl, he's engaged, as we found out during the course of that podcast. I've known her for many years, and I had no idea it was her he was engaged to. So I'm very happy for Tawny because Hank's a great guy. Tawny's a wonderful person, and that's really, really cool in my book. Well, I hope after listening to this, you got a better idea who Hank Jacobs is, what he does, and what he means to Kansas State football, because his role is really significant. And his weight might have diminished, and I got to tell you, when I saw him pop up on Zoom, I almost didn't recognize him because he has lost 100 pounds through diligence, monitoring his eating, running. Well, congratulations to Hank. He's my hero in that department. I've lost 30 pounds. He's lost 100 pounds. So I lose, but in the end, we're all a winner because Hank Jacobs is part of the Kansas State football program. I thank you for listening to the Powercat Sources Podcast. I'm having a blast doing these. And next week, we'll be back with another coach following the Iowa State game that takes place Saturday in Ames. For Ryan Wallace, I'm Fitz, and we will talk to you real soon.
Powercat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.
Get in on the action with the world's largest sports book, right at your fingertips. Circa Sports Iowa is where the pros play. Enjoy the highest limits, lowest takeouts, competitive betting menus, and the best customer service. Now you can download, fund, and bet like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. Circa Sports Iowa. Sports betting the way it should be. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com for details.